Dwayne, how are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio K-Man's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio K-Man's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us. I don't know about you guys, but I'm reminded daily and sometimes as each second passes that with the greatest of respect to all and everywhere, I believe we live in the best place. Joining me today is a good friend, Mr. Glenn Ananga. We're going to tell a story. I'm going to invite you to be a part of the unfolding play, and you're going to see how we can weave the fabric that is the Cayman society. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And, perhaps not only with the company of Mr. Glenn Ananga, but perhaps through him, we get a chance to maybe speak to the space and the place in which we occupy. They seem the calling that we have, and for some, almost the incumbency on each individual to contribute in the very best, the kindest, most loving way. And I'll expound on that further. But Glenn, good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne, and good afternoon, Radio Cayman, and your wonderful team here. Yeah. It's lovely to be here again. Thank you for having me.
If I might, only because, and we won't kiss and tell, we won't talk out of school and the like, and we will always want to respect, a person's requests. Not just their privacy, not just their data, but sometimes we'll know someone or an entity will write a check for $5, and they'll put an ad in the compass for $5,000 and say they gave $5 to an entity. And somebody will give 50 million to something and say, shh, I don't want nobody to know. Right? You're the recipient, you use it for education, healthcare, whichever. Nobody needs to know. You don't even have to say anonymous donor. You just sign the form so that the government, through their regulatory regime, don't come after you for any reason.
That's it.
Just like trouble don't blow a shell, some people don't seek fanfare.
Exactly.
Today, as we walked into the studio, the presence of such a magnificent, hope she doesn't mind, lady. The radiance just exuded, the sense of love and kindness, sharing of her gifting. It just touches my heart.
It's a real pleasure to be here. So I want to thank you, Sterling Dwayne, personally as well, because I reached out to you about being given the opportunity to share some information that I think many people need to hear about, mainly because of the impact I think it's going to have on a wide cross-section of society here and the community. And it goes again back to many of our discussions we've had in the past about exposing young students and young children to music and the performing arts, and I heard people talking about this yesterday on Radio Cayman as well. It was wonderful to hear some of the history of how things have developed here in the Cayman Islands. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed embracing since I came to live here many moons ago has been, for me as an artist, as a musician, as many people know me as a concert pianist, being in a completely different environment where I'm having to develop different skills, exposed to different, not necessarily different cultures, but different approaches to sort of learning music. One thing in particular that really got me has been this Caribbean instrument of the steel pan.
Yeah.
And I remember, when we started at UCCI and we started the program there with Mr. Lapierre in charge, still in charge, he's one of these individuals who, if you've never come across a steel pan in your life, he'll make sure you know about it after you finish talking to him. This is his life. And we all thank him for introducing the instrument to the Cayman Islands and for teaching so many young people here. But one thing he does very well is to share a lot of knowledge, a lot of information about some of the up-and-coming artists and what they do. And one such artist that I came across about five years ago, not so much her, but her family, the entire family of musicians. They all play, an instrument or two, in Keisha's case at least. And I was just amazed by the love they had for the music and how they were making music together.
Right.
They're from Trinidad. But there's this one person in the front who was playing a lot of the lead, sort of solos, and I was taken in by this very young, incredibly accomplished, well ahead of her years. And I said to Mr. LePere, it'd be so nice sometimes just to bring her here. And the more I listened to her, the more I began to see or hear an approach to playing the instrument that I didn't hear very much of just anywhere. Okay, mainly because of how people think the instrument should be played. And for me, it's just like any other musical instrument that is capable of a lot more than many people give it credit for. Yeah. And for the first time, I was really hearing some amazing playing, some amazing sort of amazing, how do I explain, colors and different sound worlds that the instrument I hadn't really thought it was sort of capable of, because you need to hear it in the hands of someone who's skilled enough to do so. So anyway, I was listening to this and I thought, gosh, my students have got to hear this live, our students got to hear this live, people who are musicians who play other instruments, would really be inspired to hear how this instrument can sound. And I'm very thankful. We just decided, the Cayman Arts Festival, we decided, right, we're going to do this. We're quite well known for putting things out that are sort of new and different. And we reached out to her and through Mr. LePere and said, would you consider coming down here and, coming to share your talents with us? She's never been to the Cayman Islands before. She's been to other parts of the world, but never been here. And there's an amazing thing going on here with steel pan in terms of students playing it. They go to Toronto every single year to go to and team up with Afropan, and our students need to hear this alternative approach to playing the instrument. And that is when she said she could come, and we started sort of brainstorming, what's she going to play when she's here. We'd like her to collaborate with people here. We'd like her to hear what's going on here, to have this cultural exchange. And I mentioned to Minister Bernie Bushes, hey, this is something I think you can really support us with. And thankfully they came on board to help. So all the stars seem to be nicely aligned. We've been through a few things, sort of trying to get the right mix of pieces to be played that are performed that night. So next Thursday at John Gray High School Performance Theatre, we're going to be having at 7 p.m. She arrives actually on Wednesday and plays on Thursday, leaves on Friday, because she's got a very tight schedule.
The life of
the life of a musician, of a very accomplished musician. So she's coming, and she's going to be playing, lots of songs that many of us would know. But one thing she's famed for is her improvisations, and the quality of her improvisations. If people have a chance to go and listen to some of her YouTube clips, she just does these things. She's a composer, she's an arranger, she even plays other instruments, other percussion instruments. She plays the keyboard as well. She's one of these rare 1 in a billion talents, I think, that I'm so excited to listen to. I mean, even when Mr. LePere and I talk about her, we say, when she does her solos, they're coming from somewhere. It's not. And we're trying to explain to our students, look, what you're hearing now, she's just made it up on the spot. And it's just unthinkable how you can get around the instrument so effortlessly, and so honestly. I mean, a lot of her playing is just so honest, and it connects with you.
It's humility, and I've listened to some of it, and I don't know, it's speaking. It's
connecting. And for people who are already musicians, when they hear this, they think, oh my goodness, where's this coming from, And that's one thing that I'm very thankful for. I'm just thankful for this sort of community that can say, okay, we're going to do it, and we do it, and it happens. And, you probably may have heard of, I think it was a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, when we had this Wander Stronger Together festival, where we had someone coming from the UK working with these amazing students right across Cayman, and they put on the most amazing performance, and people came together because of this shared vision and shared love of singing. It was phenomenal what the kids could produce, and seeing some of the people on stage who wouldn't normally be found singing, some of the boys, they were just from John Gray for the Boys to Men, program. They couldn't believe what hit them, because that's the power of music. That's the power of the performing arts. That's what it does. It transforms people. Yeah. And that is something that I can sense with this event coming next week, whereby people will listen to it and going to think, was I listening to a steel pan? Yeah. I didn't know it could sound like that. And for me, I know I'll be in seventh heaven listening to some amazing playing, some amazing artistry, and some amazing display of humility that comes with greatness, I think.
And that's the thing, what is it? Some are born great, some achieve greatness, somehow greatness trusts upon them, right? We've all read it somewhere. Humility, before honor. So Glenn, when we come back, let's talk more not only about, the performer and the performance, but perhaps what it may mean for a populace. All right. Yes. Please join us right after the break.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Father's Day is just around the corner, and Digicel has a special offer for all the amazing dads out there. Switch to Digicel and get 20 gigabytes more data for only $90, plus your first month free. Show your appreciation to your dad by giving him the gift of seamless connectivity. Don't miss out. Switch to Digicel today and get 20 gigabytes more data for only $90, plus your first month free. Make this Father's Day truly special with Digicel.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from June 19th to the 24th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to not only for listening and calling and sharing on air and sometimes and sometimes even more convincingly and important off here. As we speak to our good friend Glenn in Angle, this community embraces a lot, extends sometimes not just the kindness, but the invitation for people to be showcased and celebrated, hopefully with a view that we can join in their accomplishments and maybe even aspire ourselves, or at least encourage our own to aspire to greatness. What is it that we're reminded? And a rising tide floats all ships.
Yes.
Right? And as I'm honored for you to share more about Miss Keisha, tell us more about her. If I might, the very first time we chat, however many months ago that was, the idea that you're classically trained, right? Engineering background, you bring to any performances, whether you're helping to organize or whether you the feature event, a sense of humility as well, as you talked and represented in Keisha. But the steel pan, the only instrument that has perhaps encompassed a culture like any other. What if my knowledge is correct? It's the only one that was invented in the 20th century, right?
That's correct.
And to take something that was used, as I understand, as a way to ensure that there's a enhanced quality of life for people, the oil is transported in these drums, and then to repurpose that.
Yeah.
That shows, I think, what is a strong ethos of a people. They waste not, want not.
Absolutely.
Right? Not unlike the Cayman coconut, as it were.
Exactly.
But you take the instrument and the greatness of the other peers and the like, I think young Michael LeMay exhibits the same sort of, not just professionalism, but, the penchant to make that pan, do everything. But you take it and you present it in a way that reimagines it somewhat.
Yeah, I'm glad you've pointed out those things. I mean, how do I put this? So the instrument has been sort of part and parcel, sort of part of the culture. I think part of the development of the culture, part of the evolution of the culture. You can't separate the two. It's an expression, a way. It's a vehicle for people to actually express themselves and express what their culture is all about. And so, many people see it in carnival, many people see it in that kind of setting, which is fantastic. And that's something which will always stand, absolutely. But I always like to see alternative perspectives to what it is that we are accustomed to. And I like being challenged about how, so a lot of the time you put limitations on something which are quite superficial, where the thing itself is capable of a lot more. But we say, it can only do this, or we can only see it doing this. But sometimes when you take it out of context and you put it in a completely different context, then you get to see it from a different perspective, and then you begin to appreciate the instrument in a completely different way. And the same sort of thing happens for me. I'm classically trained. A lot of the work that I'd done up until now, when I came to work here in Cayman, was, and I'll share with you, I used to, sort of approach learning music by reading it. So, we are all taught to read the score and, and be very, very strict with following the instructions the person who has written the music has asked you to do. And I always tell my students there's one of two ways to access music. You can either read it or you can hear it. And you can respond to what you hear by listening to something and playing it back, or singing it back, or what have you. And I tell people music is primarily an oral experience. So when you hear something, you respond to it. And, it's just like reading a book or reading a play and watching that same play being performed. There are two ways to access the information, but it only comes to life when you actually perform it. So one of the things that I found with the tradition for learning, like a piece on the steel pan, it's a lot of the performance practice is you learn it by hearing it and remembering what you have heard and imitating what somebody has played for you. So you're having to learn by memory the whole way through, and that's generally how people have had to access the music. And so if I wanted to learn to play the steel pan, I was not being given music to read. I was being given somebody who says, play this, and you have to remember, and it's a lot to take in. It's a lot of information. Now, for young students, no big deal. Their brains are very plastic. They learn very, very quickly. But one thing I found, because I immersed myself in it, one thing I found was it was forcing me to listen differently, to listen to music very differently and responding to what I was hearing and depending less on reading something. And so one thing I found as a result of all of this, my ability to respond to what I hear got a lot more enhanced and got more developed. And so when I then took myself back to my classical kind of, seat in a sense, my whole perspective changed completely. I was playing the same pieces, but I was actually experiencing them from a completely different perspective. So that was a very enriching experience for me artistically. And so I look at that and I think to myself, it's good sometimes to look at something from a different perspective. And so this is kind of what inspires me about this event coming up next week. You're going to hear the instrument being approached in a completely different way, being played. It's going to be quite a lot of jazz in a sense. If you're going to ask me what sort of genre is it of the pieces being performed, it's going to be Caribbean jazz in a sense, or quite a few pieces that people will recognize, but it's going to be jazz improvisations as well to go with that. And she's teaming forces with a local band here that we've put together specifically with Jeff Japal. We've got Sean Hennings, and we've got Mark Hydes, just providing the background, because when things are live, it's much more.
And there's jam session.
It's going to be amazing. So they've specifically been assembled for this particular purpose. Just a little bit about Keisha. She started playing when she was 3. Many people call her a musical prodigy. And I can see why. When you hear a lot of what she does, you think, okay, right, I get it. Okay, you seem to be tapping into something completely different to what I'm tapping into, in a sense, or you seem to have access to it a little bit, sort of more directly than I do. But yeah, you're inspired by it, and you're humbled by it. And I'm glad you brought up the whole concept of humility. I always tell many of my students and many of the people I interact with, I say to them, when you're humble, you're always looking for things that are going to inspire you to get better. And that is something which took me a while to learn when I was younger, but it's the best way to be. And when you see people who are fantastic and they're wonderful and they're also humble, they're going to go very far, because they'll keep searching for ways in which they can grow. They never rest and think, oh, I've made it, I'm great, I'm wonderful. No, you keep going further and further and further. And that's one thing that I find very attractive in an artist, something that I feel, okay, I know there's more that they're going to show me as time evolves.
Humility, man.
Humility is fantastic. And humility to the fact that there's something bigger than you are out there.
That's it.
And that what's giving you what you've got, or whatever force out there, you could call it the creative force out there, it's bigger than you. And you are fortunate to be blessed in that way.
That's what I really enjoy with you. And hopefully through this, that maybe this would be an evening. We can bring children, but again, parent to parent, father to father. As a parents, as adults in general, I think we need to start to honestly, consciously seek out opportunities where we can gain something with a view to not just inspiring our children, not just continue on nurturing, but to raise the bar for ourselves so that we bring them up. We see in our actions that they have an example to follow. And unfortunately, I think many times,
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it adds to what we were going to discuss about what people can expect in the evening. Now, one of the trends Mr. Lapierre has been sharing with me about what's happening in Trinidad, and also in the world of steel pan, there are lots more sort of women coming to it. Now, this used to be a very male-dominated sort of, activity whereby, it was associated with people who were naughty and not behaving themselves, so people who could get into trouble if they were seen, because it was not seen in a good light in that regard. And things have evolved, and now he was saying, it's amazing, you've actually got women who are now arranging. Keisha now arranges for steel bands in Trinidad, which is a big thing to have a lady doing that. And so he was saying, if you look at many of the steel bands now, there are a lot more women than they used to have before, or a lot more, even young people as well. And he was saying that's a new trend coming up, So one thing he wanted to highlight was something similar happening here in the Cayman Islands, whereby we have a couple of young students who are, when I say young, I mean they're some of them are teenagers, some of them early 20s. Actually, they're probably not 20 yet. But the point is they're going to be showcased that evening as well. Yeah. And we want the visiting artists to see what's happening here in Cayman as well. So they will be hopefully inspired by what they hear her do.
But, many things as we talk always sort of resonate with me, right? And as you were sharing, I remember watching you perform, and it was my sort of impression and interpretation, sensing, as it were. And we see we used to call it steel drum, and then somewhere we started calling it steel pan, which probably is much more affectionate, much more respectful. And I watched the teaching, right? Even as part of the school PTA, we invested heavily in buying the equipment. We need to get a tune set up, But it's not like a guitar or a saxophone that you can stick over your shoulders and take with you. Even the smallest piece. Yes. You need to be careful how you transport it, and you just don't walk down the road.
That's right.
Even if you're part of the marching band. But I watch you play it in a way that is very much like when I see you sit at the piano and play. Now, the teaching of it, there are little symbols on it. This is the note here. You hit it there. And it's more recitation, more of memory and regurgitation, as opposed to what I saw you do. And as I shared, it redefined and reinterpreted the instrument in my eyes as I thought it can. And I watched the evolution of that so that we approach it. To listen to Keisha Cordington perform, there's a gifting, there's a respect and a reverence for the instrument and appreciation to share that with people. And if she's okay with me saying, sort of evident what the scripture says, from the mouth of babes, the youth will, and this is it. This is the progression.
This is the future. This is amazing, and I'm really glad you brought up those points, because when she plays, and this is one thing I was trying to share with my students, I said, look, she never hits the instrument. Now, which is a bit of an oxymoron, because if you think about it, the steel pan is a percussion instrument. You produce the sound by striking it, okay? But for some interesting reason, when she's playing, she's almost just brushing.
Just gliding across.
Just gliding across. Yeah. The very tiny, small space. And you hear the notes. And it's something we remind our piano students with. And they say, look, okay, when you strike a key, it's engaging with a hammer that hits a string. And so from the time it hits the string, the sound starts to die down. So it's very hard for you to create that same smooth, what we call legato effect that you would get on a flute or a violin. Well, it's one of the hardest things to do on the piano, to make it sound very nice and smooth, such that you're not just hitting.
Yeah, that ching instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you find ways, little tiny tricks to manipulate the instrument in such a way that you create this wonderful, flowing, smooth sound. Yeah. And that takes quite a lot of practice, a lot of skill. And so people don't really realize they listen to an instrument that sound is produced by hitting it. Now, the same Keisha does this. She literally does it. She plays it, and you're listening, you're thinking, she's not actually hitting the notes.
It's almost like the wind.
They're literally just gliding. And trust me, if you try to do that on a steel pan, it is hard. And so I was talking to her on WhatsApp the other day, and she said, and it's just really interesting, because I was saying, oh gosh, you got such a wonderful instrument. She said, my instrument is not as great as you think. It's actually just all skill. And she was just saying she basically has to use her skills to produce what you're hearing. Yeah. So I am so excited to see such great skill. And for me, you find great skill in every art, every even in sports. That's why people love watching Olympics and all that, because you're seeing the product of many years and many hours of hard work and discipline, and you listen to this and you watch this and you think, this is amazing.
So Glenn, when we come back, I'm hoping that the discussion isn't just about music at Cayman Arts Festival. For me, it's about inspiration. It's about the attainment of something that encourages and inspires others, and whether it's the steel pan or it's a recipe. And I've got a couple things I want to share with you, but when we come back, please tell us more.
I will.
Absolutely. All right. Join us right after the break.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
105.3 Breeze FM live. Now it's an Man Bushman representing for 105.3 Breeze FM.
Hey, this is DJ Lynn. Join me Sundays from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 for Beach and Reggae Sundays. Whether you're out in a boat, in the backyard, or simply on the beach catching some sun, it's the perfect way to unwind for the weekend as the sun sets on our beautiful Caribbean Sea. Join us this Sunday from 2 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 Beach and Reggae Sundays. Brought to you by Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your non-stop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Healthcare Pharmacy, located in Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Open Sundays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Thanks to Mr. Glenn and Angle for sharing with us. I know we got a few minutes left. Dr. Manticon will join us at 1 o'clock for another discussion. But music, the playing, the sort of observing, the paying for musical lessons. There's something about it that it does for the person, not just the enjoyment, not just the discipline. But there's something that it does even more for our society. And I'm glad that you guys over Cayman Arts Festival was able to reach out. No, Keisha Codrington, right? That's how I say the name?
Yeah, Keisha Codrington, yes.
And in the information you shared, obviously a very musically inclined, very talented, very disciplined family. But she's not the oldest of the siblings, is she?
No, she's not. And it's always fascinating for me to see, there's always one in the family that sort of just shines a little bit more than the rest. You have the same in the Candy Mason family with Sheku, there's that one, and the others are amazing as well, but there's that one that just sticks out just a little bit more. And it's really interesting when we used to watch some of the videos of the family playing, and sadly, Mom passed, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Sadly, she used to be the drummer in the group, but I remember people who. Some of my students who weren't really into steel pan, they're like, "Oh, that's just ping, 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 ping." I said, "No, listen to this video. Just take a look at this." I know what they said. They said, "Oh, the girl in the front, she's just carrying the whole thing," and they were basically trying to say, okay, we have our ping, 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 ping reservations about it, but we cannot ignore class like that, like sophistication in playing and approach to the instrument. So yeah, I mean, this event is next Thursday at 7 p.m. Next Thursday the 15th, John Gray High School Performance Hall. The tickets are $25 for adults and $10 for students. We are arranging for her to play in the morning as well, just for the Cayman school children, just to have them have a chance to hear her at a time that works for their schedules. But no, she's playing next week, and it's going to be really amazing. And I like the effect it has on the people who come to hear. And I've been spending quite a lot of effort now, or lots of time sharing the information with so many people that I think, I don't want it to be that she came and left and they heard about it and they said, "Hey, why didn't you tell me?" Yeah. And I hate when I allow myself to get to that situation where I feel, oh gosh, what another missed opportunity to share something that I feel people will really appreciate and be inspired by. And this is one thing I love about this community. They are so good at coming out and supporting things. They're so good at trying things out that they wouldn't normally, go and listen to. But, something like this is something that I've looked forward to having here. And again, for me, it's about the instrument and the approach to playing the instrument. You were talking about brass instruments. You're talking about, string instruments before. And this is something that reminds me of what my piano professors used to say to me. They used to say, some of their criticisms of my playing when I was a student was, "Oh, you play that really well, but you played it like a pianist. As in, you sound like a pianist. You're making the piano sound like a piano." But I'm like, "Isn't it a piano?" They're like, No. You can bring so many colors out of the instruments. You can make it sound like a violin. You can make it sound like a guitar. There's so many things it's capable of doing if you've got the imagination and the vision to allow these things to come through. If your ear wants to hear it, your fingers will do it. And this is exactly what's happening when she plays. You're beginning to hear different colors, different sides of the instrument, and that's the bit that really gets me excited, that I feel I would love for us to all come out to hear.
I reflect on your earlier comment when you were speaking to Keisha. You said, and I'm wondering, is it the manufacturer of the pan? What I'm told, for people who may think I'm a concert pianist, I'm not. Like the piano, the guitar, sometimes the manufacturing can affect it. How is that with the steel pan?
It's exactly the same. Now, you can have, I always say this to people, they're like, "Oh, I'd like to buy a piano." And I say, okay, it's like buying a car. If you want a Honda Fit, that's great. You can go to the shop and do your shopping, etc. But if you want something that's going to be a high performance, sort of vehicle that you want to respond in a certain way, then you are going to have to make a different choice. And the same thing happens with instruments. You are right. The quality of the instruments really does affect the product. But it reminds me of one of the greatest pianists who said, "There's no such things as bad pianos, only bad pianists." And he said the instrument should not be a limitation to how the music should sound. And so for him, he would go around with the sound in his head as to how things should sound and recreate that on any instrument. And that there is the biggest challenge for people who are going from instrument to instrument to instrument, for pianists, for example. And that's something that I have always found very challenging, and I've enjoyed having to respond to those situations where no matter what the instrument is, your ear wants to hear it, your brain wants to see and hear all this music coming through, and your fingers just do it. You don't know how it's happening, but they do it.
As you said,
she does the same thing.
A great chef can make a bad recipe, okay, but a great instrument, if the performer isn't good, it's not going to work, huh?
Not exactly. You're just going to hear, you're going to hear a good instrument.
And there I was naming the guitar.
It's me. No, but it's just at these levels of accomplishment that you begin to see. Because when she wrote to me and said that, the penny dropped, I thought, okay, I see what you're saying. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Because I really was thinking, oh, she's playing on this $1 million instrument. She said, no, it's a normal instrument, but I'm working really hard to get it to sound the way you can get it.
But that's the respect that I think all who aspire to, not greatness of themselves and expectation, but the love, the joy, the humility in trying to do the very best because of the audience. I think that's evident. Pele, to me, would always be the greatest player, not because he was, or not only because he was the greatest, but there was a sense of humility. You watch his old, tapes. People probably think, what's a tape? And the way he was tackled, he still played the ball, he still played the game, he still performed.
Yes.
Unlike some of the prima donnas of today.
Different generation.
Different approach, right? Same with some great chefs. I think Emma Lagasse will rank forever as the best because the little bit I've seen and interacted with him, there's a humility. Come taste this food. I know there's fancy words for this, and you can go to the best culinary institutes and they'll teach you. Great, you got to know that. But really, it's just about love. Yes. Put the love in the food, love in the instrument,
and you can taste it. You can taste that love, and you can connect with it.
Exactly.
And that is generally what I love about things like this.
So next week,
all right. Thursday, 7 p.m., John Gray High School Performance Hall.
Two final questions.
Yes,
Not just one is how do we get tickets, but two, for many of us, right? We have a perception of what we should wear to these events. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but some will not come because they don't think the shirt that they have is fancy enough. It's a t-shirt, it's a polo shirt. Some think they need to have on, they're Sunday best. What do we wear?
I say to people, wear what makes you feel comfortable.
You always do.
And sometimes I dress up to go to events because I want to give it a sense of occasion.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong in looking decent and looking smart. And it's so funny. She was asking me the same thing. What should I wear? I'm thinking, I don't know. But I just said whatever makes you comfortable. But the tickets are only $25 for adults and $10 for students. And one thing, again, we are very thankful for, you can get your tickets online. You could just either email inquiries@CaymanArtsFestival.com, call 922-5550. That's Mr. Maris, he'll help you. And again, we're very thankful to the Ministry of Culture for their support of this event. And thank you to Radio Cayman for letting us come out and talk about this, because this is something you don't want to miss. Please, guys, if you can come out, please do so. You will not be disappointed. And it will be over by about 8:15. So.
My final comment on this, if it's okay with you. Sometimes we look at things, we listen to a presentation, a video, music even. I would, unless you think it's inappropriate or an exaggeration, I would say to anyone, go. This is one of the times I give people permission to engage with social media and the one-eye monster that we call TV or the screens. Go listen for yourself. If you're not impressed, if you're not inspired, if you're not enamored with such a respect for excellence,
yes,
I'll buy lunch for you for.
I will buy lunch for you. Literally, Keisha Codrington, such incredible talent, and we are very, very fortunate she's here in Cayman next week for just 2 days only.
Thank you, man. I think this would be a great example for us as parents to be able to see what our children are capable of. I think often, as you shared, we limit ourselves by our imagination, by what we assign. We put ourselves in boxes. We allow others to put us in a box. And I think she shows what can be done with humility, with discipline.
Exactly.
And really, really grateful that you facilitated it. So, all right, next Thursday?
Next Thursday, you're going to see some amazing collaboration with local talent as well. We've got Ruby Piletta and we've got Carrie Smith as well, who are both wonderful steel pan players, local players, who are going to be collaborating. Thank you very much for having us on the show.
Always a pleasure. Have a blessed, safe and enjoyable weekend.
Same to you, sir.
We'll chat with you very soon.
Yes.
All right. After the news break, one of our guests will include Dr. Mani. So please rejoin us.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news. Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Police are on the hunt for two men after a Buddentown robbery. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service says shortly before 9:50 p.m. on Wednesday, officers responded to a report of a robbery at a liquor store on Buddentown Road. Two masked men bust into the store, one armed with a machete, and demanded cash from the register before taking off on foot. In international news, Iran is providing Russia with materials to build a drone manufacturing plant east of Moscow as the Kremlin looks to lock in a steady supply of weaponry for its ongoing invasion of Ukraine, according to a U.S. intelligence finding released by the White House on Friday. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said that U.S. intelligence officials believe a plant in Russia's Alabaga Special Economic Zone could be operational early next year. The White House also released satellite imagery taken in April of the industrial location several hundred miles east of Moscow, where it believes a plant will probably be built. And a South Carolina police officer rescued a woman who repeatedly mouthed "help me" during a traffic stop as her alleged kidnapper sat beside her. Officer Kayla Wallace stopped a white Jeep on May 28th after it went through a red light and approached the woman behind the wheel. The driver told the officer the man in the passenger seat had abducted her at gunpoint after a shooting. The suspect, Collins Bates, 29, was arrested. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The Headline News are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA's Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
James Alexander Bernard, JP. James Bernard was affectionately known as Mr. Mercy to his family and friends. Some people called him Papa Jim. He was married to the formula Mary M. Dixon and had one son, James L. Bernard. Like most Caymanian men of his era, he went to sea as a young man. He eventually became an accomplished cook. He also worked in the gold mines of Nicaragua. After retiring from sea, he farmed and is best remembered for being a butcher. He was a justice of the peace and a vestryman.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. And we're hoping in short order to have Dr. Wantigan join us. We have also extended invitation to very good friends over at the Cayman Heart Fund. Some fantastic work has always been done for the community through them. And, having a heart isn't, if you remember your Dickens, I think particularly it was the Hard Times novel, where, was it Pip and Bounderby having a chat and, being accused of not having a heart, and the response, well, you must, because if without a heart, how would the blood be pumped around the body? Well, it's more than that. So through the Heart Fund and through their constant public education about being heart healthy. Their symposiums for the profession as well as their events for the general public. It's always done much to inform us. So we hopefully to have that. Well, a very, very special good afternoon to all of us. Mr. Arlene in particular, how are you over there on the Bay of Bosun, near the hill that overlooks by the lighthouse? We live in a blessed place, we just have to embrace it, enjoy it, ensure that we do all to protect and promote it. And I'm asking you in the interim to give me a shout and share your thoughts. It's been some good, rain for a few days this week. That brought, for many, a nice sense of, refreshing winds, and for others, probably a reprieve from the sun. But yet, there are those for whom the rain is just a reminder that we are indeed in the the hurricane season. What could that mean for our preparations? But the one thing that my father always tells us, don't let fear paralyze your actions. You prepare, you plan, you do as much as you can to prevent ill effects. But at the end of the day, when the winds blow your way, do you need to slack your jib? Do you need to furl the sails? Do you need to pull into safe harbor as much as there is? Perhaps there was a time when that was along the mangroves, where you tie up the mangrove bush and you keep your boat there secure. Well, if you destroy them all, where there is that safe harbor? And sometimes, it's covered in prayer, and other times it's surrounded by people who are there for you, who have your back. Are we such a people? Well, let's hear and find out. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Great, man. Great. How is life? Some would say probably on the best island in the country. Others would say no, that must be Little Cayman. And then they would say nope, that's West Bay. But just saying. How are you, man?
The Republic always better, man. I must agree.
There you go, man.
It's beautiful here, man. Beautiful thunder, nice, beautiful rain. So I can't complain. I still got life, and that's all I give God thanks for. And I don't worry about the rest.
Thank you for saying that, man. I had an opportunity. If you don't put you off, but since you said that, to listen to, I won't take it out of context. I won't sort of go into all of it because it was extended. But the gist of it, in the presentation, you're talking about being, have a sense of gratitude and being appreciative and sharing. And it was asked, if you were offered 10,000, would you take it? Most people would, So would you take $1 million? Would you take 10 million? What about $1 billion? All right, most people would. In absence, that there isn't anything illegal. But the only catch is the receipt of that $1 billion. Even is that you don't wake up tomorrow. All right. And how do you think most people will respond? You got $1 billion, but you only got today left to enjoy it. You don't wake up tomorrow. Your family will get it. It will be a wonderful legacy to leave for the community, all the good things, but you'll never see tomorrow. How many people do you think would take that offer?
Sterling, anything to do with money, anybody would jump to that offer. Anybody. Let me enlighten you with something. Since you started on that topic, that was my topic, but let's go with what you.
Well, we gotta get to your topic too, right?
Yeah. I don't want to try to say what. Listen to this. Listen to the theory, right? Do you realize those that call the Lord name by who He is, why He don't grant them their wish most of the times? Let's say for most of the people, if God had granted everybody their wish, that asked to be rich, money flowing from the trees that they walk under, do you realize they wouldn't know who God is if He grant them that kind of wish? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we got everything, when we get that big amount of money, I don't know who Sterling is. Sterling don't know who James is. This kind of thing what buys down. So you can get. Right now, I'm not saying I can't do with money because we can't do without money. But I would rather know that I have my life, my being, my mind, my view, my hearing, my taste, my all-around being, and to know that I got millions of dollars, because when I got millions of dollars, everybody want a piece of it. Everybody want a part of that just because of the love of that dollar bill. But I got God Almighty. When I got him, I got everything. Everything that money can buy, and I got more than that. I'm not rich. I'm not poor. I got just what I need, and that's all that satisfies me. So, and I'm contented with that. Because when my crops need rain, I don't go next door and beg some water for a bucket of water. I go inside and I pray. And by the time I pray, rain fall. I'm not saying it fall instantly, but I can guarantee you before the weekend out, rain will fall on them plants. Because when we asking for what we want, such as not what we need, we got to be careful with our wants and our needs and getting them mixed up. When I ask him for what I really need at that time, he give me that. But when we want, our wants is what sometimes drown us, and our needs sometimes drown us as well. So it depends on the individual. But when we got what we need to sustain us, we don't need no more. But just that people don't know their ends. Though people had to say it, don't hang your hat no higher and you can reach it. Everybody wants, and they don't realize that's not a need. So I would rather know I got my bean than to have my 10,000 or my million. I don't want to bother fight no what I have. I just want to lead this world, knowing that I gave to, let's say, my property that I own. I want to make sure that that goes to my children, not someone to fight over it. You know? So, but I understand what you're saying, but I just want to mention something before me and you get too caught up with going off a topic.
You go to him, I listen to him.
my friend there, Miss John, that always called in. I mean, that woman, I just intrigued by her, listening to her in every way, man. I mean, that woman, you can't find a woman that begs. In a sense, I can say cry. I shouldn't use the word beg. To cry out for help every angle she turned. And I know for certain that no one is listening to that lady, because if they were listening, Sterling, they would have dealt and helped that woman by now. I mean, how difficult it is for a Caymanian to be asking for a simple thing is what she asking for almost every day on your show. She calls and mention that. For the last, I don't know how many months I've been listening to her, that woman ask for that. You got to tell me someone that in that government department, and I know who is heading that department that she's speaking about, you got to tell me he can't reach out to her and say, listen, I'm going to do my best for you this week to see if we can get what you need in order for this to be solved once and for all. Now listen, they need to stop with this rubbish about they helping people. I watching those meetings right now. I this morning I started to watch that one, and I had other obligations, so I had to come off of it for doing the things. But I can't just sit and listen to the lies that they, and I got to be careful calling it lies, because you don't want to infringe on anyone with what they're saying. But in a sense, it is facts that what they're telling the people are not truth, it's not facts. Because what they're lying about, or what the facts that they're not getting straight, I should say. Let me come out of this word using lie. The facts that they're not proving to the public is when the election time comes around, all of these politicians get familiar with the people. During that time, they don't care about the people. At no time they care about them. They don't have no public meetings. They don't go out and ask people what their concerns are, or what their needs, or where they can help someone in dire strait, such as Miss John. And it's sad to know that we have those type of people we call politicians or leaders that are there for us, but we are not being reliable. They are not being reliable enough for us to call them our leaders. And you know what intrigued me so much, Sterling, was when I realized that both your show and OC show is televised worldwide. People are watching you right now. People are watching OC this morning, and that is being heard worldwide, whoever's watching it. And they're here in a place like Grand Cayman that is, like I said, the whole problem is, darling, we need to kill the bee and kill the cow. that we don't have no more milk, and we don't have no more honey, that all will be expired. We need to get rid of them. People hear us in this country crying the way we are, and yet we put out a publicity report that the Cayman Islands is the best place right now in the world. Sterling, that's not going to last long. If people hearing us in this kind of situation, crying over robberies, crying over bank problems with interest rate and things like that, they're not going to look at us in the same sight anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's sad, like I was telling OC this morning about the interest rate that is fluctuating around the world, that is causing people problems. And one of the reasons, I don't want to jump off of one story to the next, but one of the reasons that is causing that problem is, Sterling, when you have inflation on interest in these banks, like for instance, the United States right now is 4.9%. When you have inflation raising on the rich, which people don't understand, when taxes on when they have a set, they call a fixed rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know how inflation affecting fixed rate accounts. That inflation, Sterling, only hinders the person that has a low income. That's where that interest in that inflation, that is who it affects. It doesn't affect that big man out there, Sterling, that got him millions of dollars. It don't affect him or her. It don't affect them. They got their money fixed. Nothing can go up and down on that. That is a fixed rate.
Mm-hmm.
And these things is what happening in our country. We tend to turn a blind eye to the rich and the famous and only focus on them and forget our own kind. I know for certain, Sterling, if that was another nationality that was crying out to the Cayman government for a license or a permit or anything else, Sterling, they would have jumped off the high horses or whatever you want to call it and right away do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Caymanian crying, and that Caymanian cry for a long time. But not a foreigner. They would have had it covered long time, Sterling. That is sad. That is sad, Sterling. That is so sad because, like I was telling Lucy this morning, everything individual come to this country to do, our government okays it, take it from the Caymanians, and the Caymanians has nothing left. You think about it, Sterling. They started with the turtle. You from the Republic, you know. They started from the turtle. They went to the they went to the grouper. Then they went to the cats. Then they went to the fowl. And now they even gone to the graveyard. You imagine they gone that far. They even tell you know why. Put us on the government got take that in hand and tell you why you can paint and why you can't paint in the graveyard. These things, I mean, when is this country got come to a grip? When are the people got come to reality to know that, listen, when election time come around, we don't want nobody coming to our yard to ask for no vote.
Yeah, I think I was trying to remember.
All
right. One of our listeners on...
Sorry.
No,
go ahead, say that again.
No, fine. I was just trying to remember exactly the gentleman that called on Tuesday when Mr. Franklin was on, and exactly how he phrased it. You know, he was just speaking. I think he said... you get none. If nothing not done, I listen to it again, man. He had it phrased quite nicely, and I think it's maybe it's what you were saying too. You know, I'll message it to you, man. All right, we got the listen to you, man. Talk to me.
Yeah. Quick one before you go. Yeah, I mean, when you think about like what Mr. Franklin said, all these people coming here telling us about the mangroves, telling in the future the mangroves will still be there because they were there for mine. How that gonna feed us if we need help? You see what I'm saying? I mean, like what Mr. Franklin is saying is so true. Government is willing to jump down and help a foreigner or a resident that come into this Cayman Islands here because they done enough about them, but they want to know about them, so they allow them to come in, do as they please, tell us what to do, and then we turn around, we got starved, we got find other sources of finding something to eat, and they're not being affected by it, and I don't know us, the Caymanians, the poor man. And these are the things that are affecting us, and our leaders, they sit now making their big money, looking important when the meetings come up, and nothing is being done to help the people crying out day by day, and they can't hear them. And what they need to do, they need to be focusing on just checking their radio and tuning into one event. First thing in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and one event every 12:15. And leave that radio and they spend that time. Still, they're spending their 6 hours on a lunch break and they're listening to the shows.
A lot to be shared. The people are listening. All right, James Albert Christian, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, my friend. And we'll pause, take a quick break, and then welcome our guests. Please join us after.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
If custom closets or new kitchen cabinets are on your wish list, now is the time to strike them off the list. Brand Source Home Gallery is offering 20% off on kitchen cabinets and custom closets. Now until Saturday, June 10th. Go in now before the sale event ends on June 10th, and you'll have until August 31st to save 20% on the purchase of your dream custom closets or kitchen cabinets. Brand Source Home Gallery's 20% off kitchen cabinets and custom closet sale, ending June 10th. Sign up, get a voucher, and purchase before August 31st. Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive or call 623-5000 for details.
Are you ready for an incredible opportunity? Switch to Digicel this June to win a round-trip flight for two. Yes, that's right. By switching to Digicel, buying a Prime bundle, or simply paying your bill, you could be jetting off to any of the breathtaking Cayman Airways destinations.
Imagine exploring stunning beaches, vibrant cultures, and making unforgettable memories.
Visit a Digicel store near you to make the switch today. Seize this amazing opportunity. Digicel, better together.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines.
For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DAH website at www.gov.ky/DAH.
The 615 Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
For the record.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you.
For the record.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record.
Brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks very, very much for joining us. I think as we get a chance to reflect on who we are, where we are, and even the time and place in which we occupy, you always appreciate there's a lot of good things to happen. I'm grateful now for a chance to sit across the table from some excellent people, and I think Dr. Mani, as we look to you first as sort of the elder in the crew, wow. It's a special good afternoon, Dr. Mani. How are you today, sir?
Good, sir. I appreciate it. It's amazing to come back to Cayman Island. I want to say thank you to Radio Cayman, to Dwayne. I mean, he's the man. He's the man on the radio here. Miss Elise she's accompanying us from the Cayman Heart Fund, and also I have Nick. He's from Jackson Memorial, and we work together real close between Jackson and University of Miami. We do most of the things together. Most of the physicians out of Jackson, they're out of University of Miami, and actually all the specialists and everything is at University of Miami. That's what I'm here for. I want to let everyone know that now they could reach me. My cell phone is still the same, but I'll go ahead and repeat it. As always, as everybody could, always call me. And it's really a pleasure to be back on the Cayman Islands. And I mean, this is really, I'm very proud to be and bringing together with the Cayman Heart Fund this special event that is, for the physicians, the nurses, everybody, to Miss Ali from the Cayman Heart Fund and Dr. Baraja, she's in there too. And, everybody's working hard to bring this to the level that it has always been in the past in the Cayman Islands. Yeah. With a lot of education and, to the physicians, nurses, and then tomorrow to the community, because tomorrow they're going to have health stations also. But I'll let Miss Elise talk a little bit about that. And
well, thank you for that. What a good way to introduce Miss Elise, And as Dr. Mani was sharing, the idea that we not just have symposiums as the Heart Fund will put on for the physicians and the medical community, but free events to the general public.
Yes, we're really opening this up to the community to come out tomorrow at the Marriott Beach Resort from 8 a.m. until 11:30. And we're going to be doing some free heart health screenings. So those screenings will cover things like...
Is it the usual stuff with the blood pressure and the
blood pressure,
all those things?
Family history. Just looking for my notes here, but they're going to be free, and anybody can come out. You don't have to be registered for the conference, and it's.
And tomorrow is going to be from basically registration or a little breakfast in there at 8 to 8:50, and they'll start at 9. They're going to have some of the physicians, some of the board members, Dr. Baraja speaking, and then they're going to have some other physicians speaking, and also the health stations. They're going to be doing cholesterol. They're going to be doing diabetes. They're going to be doing
height, weight,
pressure, height, weight, all of those things. Everything that is something that we call wellness.
You'll be able to speak with a clinician as well, who can help you interpret the results. So that is one way that people can protect themselves and maybe commit to some lifestyle changes if they are in an at-risk category.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular, both from the physician perspective but from the Heart Fund, that those attending that you would want them to do? I know some of these tests require fasting. No, just quickly to our listeners.
There's no fasting required for this particular test. And just make sure to take your medications if you are on any before coming out.
Okay. And well, Nick, let's bring you into the conversation. I mean, when we think of Jackson, I think many go back to it being a number one trauma center in a sense.
Right. Yeah, like Manny touched on earlier, Jackson and have had 70-year-old partnership, and it's been really important not only for our community, but also our neighbors in the Caribbean. All right, make sure I'm gonna.
No, you're good, man.
I'm good. Okay. So like Manny touched on, provides the majority of physicians at Jackson, who in return supply the latest cutting-edge treatments to our patients. And, we have agreements for some very high-profile partnerships, including the Miami Transplant Institute, which is among the nation's busiest organ transplant program, Christina Lynn Rehabilitation Center for Miami Project to Cure Paralysis, and then a bunch of urgent cares. And we're actually very excited to announce a new partnership that will create a regional center of excellence called Shriners Children's Orthopedic Center, which is an enhanced orthopedic program and will align with other UHealth Jackson Children's Care Signature Pediatric Services. So that's going to be a new building scheduled to open in 2025. So just a lot of exciting things between Jackson and of a long ongoing partnership.
Yeah. And I think too, when you share that, we can see two things. One, the educational opportunities that can extend not only to our populace relative to health care, but Dr. Mani, Cayman Airways flight between here and Miami, it's a short jaunt.
Yes, it was. It was really good. And I came in Cayman Airways. It was a good thing I did. Say hello to some of the people. I saw some of the people from the island there that I haven't seen him in 4 years. And but one of the things is the most important thing is what we bring to the community, to the medical personnel, for them to come out there between now. Registration starts at 2, And then, they'll start with different physicians speaking. The Jackson and University of Miami physician, Dr. Sandeep Sinathan, he's going to be talking about congenital cardiac surgery. He's a general cardiac surgery physician from University of Miami, but he's at Jackson. But because one of the things is, like, in the partnership that we have with Jackson is, children's, any pediatric cases, they're all University of Miami physicians, but all of them are done at Jackson. Some of the other stuff like GYN, like OB, we do it at Jackson. The thing is, that partnership is so great that, we always taking care of the patient. That is the most important thing. Also, at University of Miami, we have the Sylvester Cancer Center. It's the only NCI, which is the National Cancer Institute, cancer center recognized in this whole Southeast United States. And, that is state of the art. When I say state of the art, it is state of the art. The cancer center. We have beds for admission at the Sylvester, and also we admit at the hospital. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing. A lot of research going on, some of those things. Then the other one that a lot of people hear from Cayman go is the Bascom Palmer Institute. Mm-hmm. And that's state of the art. They come from all over the world to Bascom Palmer. At Bascom Palmer, we even have an ER at the Bascom Palmer Institute. I mean, they don't have to go to the regular ER. They'll go to Bascom Palmer ER. And it's amazing, because all of the specialists there, they specialize in eyes, and it's an emergency room for eye care. And it's great.
Right. Mr. Lisa, when you think of that, it's, as I listen, I'm always mindful that for a small country, great that we have the access, whether through our airlines or through the infrastructure, but to have the resource in the people. And tomorrow, through the Heart Fund, no matter the time of year, no matter how busy we are in our lives, an event like this is invaluable.
Yes, it certainly is. We're very excited to have our off-island guests as well as the on-island guests, and be able to talk about a lot of really important issues for healthcare for the people of the Cayman Islands. So it's really exciting. I think that we're going to be talking about things like stroke, dental health, diabetes. It's going to be, I think, a really fantastic event, eligible for CMEs if anybody is in requirement of those to keep their registrations active as nurses. And then we've got that wellness check that's sponsored by Rotary. So it's a 2-day event. It starts shortly. If you haven't registered, you still can. And there is no registration required for the wellness check tomorrow.
And I think, Nick, as we listen, the notion that for many of us, our wealth is truly our health.
Right.
But
right.
for many, it's maybe just exercising in the gym or a run or a swim. But there's so much more.
Right.
Right. So our lifestyle is important, huh?
Yeah, lifestyle is very important. Me, myself, I exercise a lot. And, it's just good to have some good direction. And the people at UM and Jackson, lead the way in that cutting edge. So... and like Manny touched on earlier, there are a lot of things that UM does. UM and Jackson, we fit together very well with the Sylvester and Cancer Center that UM has, and Bascom Palmer, and our trauma center, and like I said, the new rehab facility, and we have so many hospitals that are there to help the Caribbean and help lead the way.
And Dr. Manny, when you think about it, it's not just the health and wellness and the lifestyle, it's the notion of community and connectivity.
Yes, it is.
You come in and...
yeah, I mean, I haven't been here in 4 years, but, I'll be there, later on. I mean, now after this, the radio station here, we'll go over there. And, we have a booth together with Jackson. So people see me, and I haven't seen a lot of people in a lot of years. So
the last, I think, in-person event was in 2019. So
yes,
we had a virtual
was,
conference in 2021. So this is sort of like a homecoming for you.
Right. It is a homecoming for me, but it's from the heart.
It's a tiara, man.
Yeah, it's from the heart. It is from the heart. So people know, now I'm at the University of Miami, and they call it, they see it over there, the U. We're all together in this, and. As I always said in the past, in all the radio station, at the time I come to your radio station and everything, I'm not saying goodbye yet, but it's early detection is prevention. I always said that. So tomorrow, is for the community. Today for the physicians, they get updated. A lot of physicians are going to be talking. Dr. Rabi is going to be speaking. Dr. Mike Grimm is going to be speaking. So a lot of the physicians, from abroad and us, like I said, Dr. Sanathan and, some of the physicians locally here, they're going to be speaking. I'm going to bring this to the community, to the interests of physicians, nurses, anybody that's medical personnel. Really come out so we could see each other and say hello to me. I'll be wearing a mask because I still wear a mask. Okay.
I won't joke because you're on the air.
Yeah, I know. But yes, I know. But I mean, it's not a shield. But I mean, I haven't gotten COVID yet. Thank God. Let me knock on wood somewhere.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah. I got my 5 vaccines though.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done show here. I've done before shows. On the radio that. For the health of it, right? With that program, we did a show that it was, encourage people to get the vaccines and everything. I've done 5 of them, right? So I'm one of those, and I'm still not weird. I'm still the same person, humble like everybody else. I love Cayman. I love the people in Cayman, the physicians, and the community. The people from Cayman are special. And tomorrow, I apologize that I will have to leave early because I have prior commitments, with the family. It's always there too, but like they all know, they know it in the past. Family is always important to be there. But I'll be there. Part of the morning. Half of the morning. I'm gonna be there too. And really, I'm not saying goodbye yet. I'll say goodbye over there tomorrow.
I can hear a song with Dr. Manny here, a baritone voice. But Mr. Elise, that's like as Dr. Manny alluded to, tomorrow. Or it's family, it's community.
Yes.
The event. Is what as at the Marriott. Tell us about the event tomorrow and what time it starts.
There is a wellness fair that's going to be happening, and I believe that's in the morning at the same time as the health.
8 a.m. Right?
8 a.m. to 11:30 in the morning. But I mean, the public is invited to attend the conference as well. I mean, it might not be fun for small children, but I think that it certainly is important.
Yeah, and that. As it was in the past, the reminder that the world has changed significantly. The last in-person event for some was years ago. Dr. Manny, you just shared, 4 years, like many of us that we've traveled. No one, Nick, would have ever expected that, in the blink of an eye, our lives would have been, turned upside down.
Forever changed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now is a chance to interact, engage, to appreciate that the health and our wellness should be paramount. It shouldn't just be.
It shouldn't be, because of a pandemic or anything like that. It should be all together. It should be family. It should be like wellness. That's the most important thing. That, wellness. Come out tomorrow, and I apologize. Some of the physicians that might be on the list, and I didn't mention them, but there's a lot of them on the list, and a lot of them I know. It's really a pleasure. Please, encourage everyone to. Cayman Heart Fund. Thank you, Ms. Elise, also for this opportunity.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, it's really a pleasure. And I owe it to Mr. Dwayne here. He's the man. He is. Yeah, we go back a long way.
We
go back
do,
a long
man.
time. Yeah, we do. And we have to catch up a little bit. Yeah. But it's really a pleasure to be in the Cayman for the community. And I always said it, my phone number is 305-951-1673. It hasn't changed. Still the same number.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, still the same number for everybody. Whoever could, reach out to me, fine. Please give me a few minutes if I don't pick up because I'm talking to someone. Yeah. But it's really a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to stop in with us. The continued partnership. With the Cayman Heart Fund, the notion, Nick, that as Dr. Manny has shared, it's about the community. It's about the ideal. Now, in closing, I want you to invite you to share your thoughts, and of course, Ms. Elise, we would love to give you the final word today, and hopefully, as a people, we reflect on what tomorrow can be for continued health and wellness, but maybe for some of us, it is the impetus. It is that thing that will spark a renewed interest in looking after our overall well-being.
Yeah, right. And we just want at Jackson and just want to be here to support the communities here and whatnot. And I know Manny said earlier, I wanted to touch on this before I forget, that he's going to be leaving, but I will be there. So if anybody wants to come and speak with me, I'll be there all day tomorrow.
All right.
And we're just really happy to have Manny because Manny's been in the industry for Many years. I'm not going to say how many, but he's been in the industry for many
years.
Very
proud of him.
I think Noah was consulted.
Right. So I just want to say it's really great to have Manny part of the U Health Jackson team, and I'm learning a lot from Manny, and it's great to have him. It's great to be here in Cayman, and I'm really looking forward to the health fair, and I'm sure Elise can touch more on it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on behalf of the Heart Fund, thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you for giving us a platform. And thank you for supporting the cardiovascular healthcare conference that's happening throughout the weekend. This kind of support and openness in the community, the medical community, and the public allows us to continue our work with free public health screenings, supplying the community AEDs. We are getting into teaching basic life-saving skills to the community and CPR. And we always recognize our heart heroes, people who have lived through cardiovascular disease and stroke. And it's just really important that you guys are here helping us spread the message and get people checked, and as well as bringing it home to Cayman.
Well, thank you all. Thanks not only for coming in and reminding us and extending the invitation. Thanks for the participation, the presentations, and thanks to the public to being able to be invited and attend freely. These screenings for some of us may be the only time we make time to get it done, not just because of the cost, but because of the opportunity.
Right.
So very important. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's from our heart to the Cayman Islands.
Heart to heart.
Yeah. Heart to heart.
There we go.
We're always here to support.
Right. And like Nick said, he's going to be there too.
Yeah. Well, I can see why you would leave. You leave it in good hands.
Yes, I will.
All right, well, enjoy your visit. Have a very safe return flight. And thanks again for extending the invitation to have Miss Elise and the Heart Fund join us.
Ms. Dwayne.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Dwayne,
right?
Radio Cayman. Thank you. I appreciate it.
When we come back from the break, we're going to have some open line. For those callers who are calling, we can call back and we can talk about anything else. With sufficient encouragement, with offer of excellent chocolate, you might even get a song. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue new policies or increases when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call the insurance professionals at Cayman Insurance Center 949-4657 or email info@cic.com.ky. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Cayman Insurance Center's insurance professionals today at 949-4657.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul.
Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. Beach and Reggae Sundays on Breeze 105.3 FM from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. 2 locations, Governor Square and Grand Harbor. Governor Square open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Grand Harbor open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and open on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 947-8900 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we continue in our program for today, it's open line. Special thanks to our callers, and as we go to the phones. Good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, afternoon, how are you?
I'm not as good as you, but I'm good.
Oh, well, I think, honestly, you're a lot better than, many people.
And a lot of people I know, but so are you.
Amen to that. I'm grateful, man.
I give God thanks.
Amen, amen.
Anyway, what I was gonna. I know I noticed you got some people, medical people on there today.
We had a quick discussion. Right now, it's just the two of us. Just prior.
But what I want, I called so you this morning. I could say we could basically touch the same thing that I talked about him this morning.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I have been thinking about it and watching it and seeing things happen. And I'm a little concerned about this. We see it as prosperity, but it is prosperous in many ways. But we have to be really careful on the growth of this little island.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you a couple of things that I sat down, I thought about it, and it came to me. God talks to me plenty about things that I see and hear. And as I talked to OC this morning, I was talking about the number of people that are coming here now and work permits and stuff like that. I guess if it's good in the sense that it keeps us, in a financial and otherwise in a good shape. But we have to be very, very careful about the growth of all this, because I've seen already, the things that got my attention. I have big buildings here that are being built and stuff like that. And I know,
right.
Some of them have been here for 3 years, still not out of the ground, and yet they're 80% sold already. It makes me a bit suspicious.
Okay.
And I'm saying that we don't want to, if these are people that bought into this thing that I don't know what the deal was, but it doesn't look good when we got all these half-finished buildings, and you've seen them all over Cayman. They got Wood Place and South Sound, which has got to be one of the ugliest buildings in the island. On South Sound Road, and it's been sitting there, and it's right next to the road, and it's, oh my God. And I'm saying to myself, we need to take control of this, because you see, growth in itself is not a bad thing. I've always, when I studied architecture, these are things that I remember being taught about it, that you don't want to just go building, because if it's not sustainable, meaning if you don't have the infrastructure to support all this building, you will run into trouble down the road.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that with what is happening as we are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm listening. You're very closely listening.
As we go along with this growth period that it seems that we got now, one thing that come to mind, and I mentioned that this morning to OC show, and I want people to listen because I think it's very important that they hear what I'm saying here, trying to say here.
Yeah.
Got thousands of people here on work permit now, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Saying, God forbid, this is one of the things that worries me. God forbid, I know there's a new virus, a new outbreak of the COVID virus, because they got a different name now, but it's a different new one. Which I read up to last, I was reading about it, that says that there's no real symptoms like the other one had. And I'm thinking, God forbid, when we got people coming down here to work, and I've seen it myself. I've sent a one-bedroom apartment, and I see like 6 and 7 cars in the yard. This is 4 people, though. Then I can't blame them for trying to get something, out of this thing that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, God forbid, we are hit with the virus or anything that was some kind of a virus that can spread and affect other people with this situation, because believe me, with what we went through, the pandemic, the COVID thing, if we have something similar to that, like from what I understand, this one is more dangerous than the COVID because it has very few symptoms. If that hits us and we don't have, oh my God, I don't want to think of it. I mean, the thing is that I'm hoping the government has put aside, when these people come in here to work, that government would say to the employer or the employers, here's the deal. Before we'll give you this thing, we have to know where they're coming from, and we're going to find out how much it costs to take them back from here to there. We have an account, escrow account, that we put the fare, at least the fare of today's fare, in that account, so that in the event that you run out of work or something like that, we don't know what might happen to you, the employer.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to be stuck with that kind of thing, like we have to pay to get them off this island. You see?
Right.
And these are the things that concern me. I don't know, maybe government does have that kind of a setup. But the thing that worries me more than anything else is the possibilities when you got 10 and 12 people in a little house, little room, and and something breaks out. Oh, God help us. Because we don't have the facility, we don't have the whatever it takes to be able to control something like that. And that's my story for today. But I just wanted to mention that because I wouldn't want to see that happen, because that would be, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. So
no problem.
Pray to God every day, ask Him to bless us that we don't get these things don't happen. But I pray that government will think about it and see what they can do in case of something like that. Okay?
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And as you were talking, someone was exchanging some comments with me relative to what you're sharing about the pace of development and the like, and maybe I can share some of those, but agreeing with you from the perspective of approaching what we're doing so that it is progress and the process, and not that we're just progressing down the road, but it's actually beneficial. So thank you for sharing, sir.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. God bless you, and bless the island.
Amen, man. Amen. Thanks again, huh?
Yeah, man.
All right. It's a great day. It's a Friday, and again, thanks to our colleague, Ms. Kathy, for sharing, yesterday with our listeners. I could sit by my desk. I could step away for an extended time. Could have my, my notion and my portion, and be able to look over at the ocean. So it's always good when we work together. It's open line, 949-8037, 949-6990. Fridays being Fridays, it would be nice if the wonderful host of the Business Buzz, Miss Anita, I know she's somewhere in the building. It would be excellent if she could, find, the energy to put one foot in front of the other and walk through the door and sit in the chair next to me, and we could have a little banter. I will see what happens. She always says soon come. Maybe it'll be 2 o'clock after the headline news, right, Miss Anita? She might just be able to encourage. And the reason that I've extended this public invitation to her in this format, if you haven't yet had a chance to listen to her buzz, you have to. She's phenomenal. As James Albert Christian reminded us that perhaps as a country, we would listen to, Mr. Art Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because that's where you get informed, especially if you're a policymaker. And then, he was gracious to include the talk show midday. But I'll extend to you as well, our business buzz. Our Monday Sense program, as it airs, is fantastic. Well, let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Dwayne, and may I say good afternoon to the listeners through you as well. You have to answer for them. So.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, and I mean, if you want to extend it in any language, you could try your French, you could, speak in any of the dialects, I mean, go right ahead, man. It would be good to learn.
Or maybe in tongues,
I've had that translated, but yes, even in there.
Well, Dwayne, there's a little something which I had a bit of a chat with today with OC.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's an important one, and I think OC and Dr. Steve did quite a good job discussing it on Wednesday, and picked it up today with OC. This is the one relating to one of our honorable MPs who was said to own a piece of land where the east-west arterial was supposed to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a talk. This is Ms. Heather Borden. I mean, there's been an issue which arose as to whether she should have declared that part of the area where that arterial will pass, like she owns or is a part owner of the company which owns that land. And there's been some issue as to whether she should have either recused herself or at least said, disclosed that. And there have been different views, and I just want to share my own opinion on that.
Yes, please.
You see, the whole thing about disclosure does not depend on whether, in fact, you are covering up for anything untoward. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times things that are required to be disclosed, it is just to eliminate any possible perception of something incorrect. A lot of times, for example, you would reveal something, and then maybe the speaker might say, well, does anybody have an objection to this member participating? I mean, they don't have any direct pecuniary interest, but it's something they might benefit maybe later on, but they have disclosed. And then the speaker might decide, okay, you don't have to recuse yourself, but you shouldn't vote. Or in some cases, you don't recuse yourself, but sometimes you can vote as well. And I think what has come out in this matter is that I think there's a need for a better understanding of what recusal is about. In the case of Ms. Borden, we have wound up discussing this issue, and yet it never needed to be an issue if she had disclosed. Now, there are people who are saying, well, but the value of her land is likely to go up because of the arterial. She should have surely disclosed. And I think there's something to be said about that. There are some other people who have said, well, I mean, she has a duty also to represent her constituents, which is also right. But you see, at the end of the day, disclosure is very, very important. I think you are getting up to the news here.
You want us to just pause and then join you after? Is that what you're sharing?
Yes, please, then I can conclude here.
Oh, man, you are, as always, a gracious gentleman. To our listeners, tell others that you know who are maybe inattentive to join us now and get the news. But when you come back, we hear from a very learned mind. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
The Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency launches its public consultation period for the Draft Climate Change Policy 2023 to 2024, now open through June 30th. The public consultation for the draft policy includes town hall meetings across all three islands. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 13th in East End at the William McLaughlin Civic Center. To learn more, check out gov.ky/sustainability/climate change policy. In international news, the World Food Programme is suspending some food aid to Ethiopia while it investigates allegations that donations are being diverted from those in need. The WFP says it will continue to help the most vulnerable people. The EU's foreign policy chief says the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine was destroyed with explosives planted in its turbine chamber in an area under Russian control. The chief said everything pointed to Moscow being behind the demolition, which has caused catastrophic flooding. The seismologist registered the powerful blast on Tuesday at about the time the dam was breached. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Classic Innovation Beauty and Barber Shop in Tropical Plaza. Full service salon specializing in braiding, weaving, and all things beautiful. Bring out your unique beauty. Conveniently located upstairs Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Easy lunchtime wash and blow. Avoid the evening traffic with a pedi or take in a full service hair treatment. Kids hair service and special occasions also available. Book your next service at 233-5572 or 326-5572 and take advantage of the Happy Wednesday specials at Classic Innovation Beauty and Barber Shop. Savings on pedicures, women's and men's hair care. Classic Innovation Beauty and Barber Shop, located upstairs Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back. And if he would allow us to say, how grateful we are, Mr. Balika Samama, not just for your call, sir, but for your kindness, being so amenable and just staying with us, during the break and the like. So thanks again, and a special good afternoon once more.
Well, thanks very much. That's very kind, Dwayne. Now, picking up where we left off, just to be double sure, there has been no allegation of any kind against the MP concerned that they did something like something which was fraudulent in any way. Nothing at all. We are just talking about really the certain things which require to be done to avoid questions being asked. That's the context in which I'd like to address it.
Yes, sir.
So you see, the country organizations such as the OECD have got some guidelines, some detailed guidelines about these matters. They say, look, conflict will always be there, okay, in one shape or form. In England one time there was a case where a judge was hearing a case relating to, I think it was British Rail or the rail company.
Uh-huh.
And the judge was known to take the tube every day to work. And then they said, well, look, isn't this a conflict of interest? He takes the tube. If the prices go up, he will, he might be affected positively or not. And what the court said was, no. There are certain bits of conflict which are very minor and really very remote, okay? they are not a problem. But there's a lot of a gray area in between where even if you might not be able to benefit from any decision you take, but if there is a little bit of an appearance, you want to bring it out, because once you bring it out, then first of all, it looks to the people that you are not trying to hide anything, and then the body before which you bring the matter up can now deal with it up front, rather than you keep quiet about it, and then it is raised, then it becomes an issue. And if I think the MP concerned had just declared that interest, I don't think we were going to discuss it in any light. Everybody was going to say, well, she declared her interest. The Speaker has ruled that she may participate at least to debate, not to vote, or she could participate and vote. And that way, she doesn't have to take any responsibility for anything that happens after that. Let me also refer to the Honorable Roy McTaggart, also the leader of the opposition. He had a matter a couple of weeks ago where it was said, well, but your wife works for a certain company on a certain project. And the Honorable Kenneth Bryan raised the issue saying, well, but leader, you should have declared. Now, when the leader answered that like a day or two later, he gave some very good details to say, my wife works there, but she does not, her salary or income does not depend on whether or not that particular contract exists. She does not work at a level where she makes decisions and so on. And that was all very well explained. But the issue, like Honorable Bryan pointed out, he should have mentioned that himself earlier. And if he had mentioned it, the chances are that it was not going to become an issue. It became an issue because he didn't mention. So anytime you deal with issues of that nature, you want to mention them up front, whether or not you think it is a problem. Now, specifically in relation to the standing orders, there is need, I think, to relook at the particular standing order which arose in the case of the leader of the opposition. This is, I think, it is Standing Order 83. You see, Standing Order 83, and I think the leader pointed out, it says that anybody who, that a person who has a pecuniary advantage in anything being discussed cannot bring a motion or an amendment to a motion on anything that they have a pecuniary advantage. That provision doesn't say where it appears that there's a pecuniary advantage or where it appears that there's an indirect advantage. It just says where there's a direct advantage. So it is very narrow. So technically, legally speaking, in terms of the standing order, he had a very good argument to say he didn't have to reveal it. But then the issue becomes is, do you want a standing order that is so restrictive? One which says that unless there is a direct pecuniary interest, you don't have to disclose. Okay? And then on top of that, that only deals with motions and the amendment of motions. How about in general debate?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you want in general debate that there should also be disclosure of those things? So that whereas it doesn't appear to me any of those two people did anything untoward, although there is some doubt regarding the other MP because she was going, her land was going to increase in value as a result of that road passing there. But I have no reason to believe that she deliberately covered up for that. But I think, one, appearances are important. Two, they need to really look at that standing order so that people can be properly guided. If people are properly guided and that is properly changed, then some of these issues, can be avoided. Remember, in the public, it is not about what happened. It's about the appearance.
The perception, huh?
Exactly. So I just thought that I might share that little view and so on. But the upshot of it really is that I think they should look at the standing order and amend it and give better guidance to members of Parliament.
Well, you're an instructor, an educator, and I think if we listen, we would at least get some information and we can decide whether it's beneficial, whether it needs to be challenged, or whether it can be something to be championed. If I might, though, and I do apologize because I do not, as we speak, know that I deliberately know the answer. In December last, there were a number of proposed amendments to legislation, and one had to do with intention, inserting the word intention intentionally.
I remember that one.
All right. What happened to that? Did that pass? I mean, what's your information on it? If you have it to hand, if not, maybe you can help me.
Well, I remember that it passed. Yes, it did pass. That's my recollection of it. And the issue, the debate behind that, you remember, and I think that's why you raised it, Dwayne, is as to why they were amending it to say that you cannot be convicted of that particular offense. It had to do with, I think, breach of public trust or something like that, and so on. That it has to be intentional. And then some people were saying, well, but you see, if you do it unintentionally, you shouldn't be convicted. But I'm not quite sure about that. You see, again, it goes back to issues of the of public trust. If you go to section, I think it's 118 of the Penal Code and section 13 of the Anti-Corruption Act, they have an offense there called breach of trust. Okay, breach of trust is an old offense which was initially enacted in England. It exists in Canada as well. This is to say, well, look, when you are in a position of public trust, there is a certain duty you have to look out for the interests of the Crown or the government. You can't, for example, and I don't know if I gave this example before, you can't in government, for example, order the sale of, let us say, land at $1 million when any person walking the street can know that land is probably worth $20 million. Okay? And then you can't say, well, yes, I did order the sale of this land for $1 million, but later on it was found out it was worth for $20 million. But you see, I just didn't know. I didn't do it intentionally. I did not intend that the government should lose money. What this offense says, Dwayne, breach of trust, is that you can't get away with doing that kind of thing because you are in a position where you control property belonging to the government, belonging to the people. You cannot play ignorant, and when you play ignorant, then you get away, like you shirk your responsibility.
Right.
You know, I didn't know. There is a certain higher duty you have. Now, again, to be on the safe side, there will be cases, let us imagine that piece of land was actually worth $2 million. They will look at it and they'll say, no, there was no breach of trust here. Maybe there was a little bit of a judgment which was not quite right, but we'll let it go. Now, so in other words, the way they amended it, they have now made it very, very, very difficult to convict a public official of anything. They could do something really egregious, and you really know that actually they are likely to have benefited. But unless you show that they intended to do it, then you can't convict them. They shouldn't have done that. Even in England, there are still today offenses of breach of trust where intent is intent more, let's put it this way. If you do something that is negligent, but when you do something negligent, you can be found guilty of an offense. There is also another offense, section 119 of the Penal Code, which talks about, again, anybody who in the government does something that is negligent and results in loss to the government. That's also an offense. Do you see that range of offenses? That range of offenses is not about intent. It's about breach of public trust.
Right. Well, I really appreciate it. I certainly don't want to, monopolize your time, but it's always good if we're willing to listen to more learned minds, especially when they give so graciously their time. But as you were sharing that, I'm just reflecting on a number of things. You talked about the word direct, a direct pecuniary advantage within their standing orders. But I'm also questioning perhaps in tort, that case, Donahue and Stevenson, that talked about, your neighbor test, right? In law for murder, is it still actus reus and mens rea? So why are we then... You see where potentially we could be, instead of raising the bar and insisting on the standard of excellence, maybe inadvertently we're watering down standards.
Yes, we are watering down standards because in that statement, that question, the rhetorical question you asked there, which is, who is my neighbor, which was made famous by Lord Atkin, which I think you've read the case. Donahue against Stevenson, okay? Where these two ladies, as you know, they go into a bar
Mm-hmm.
And they buy some. One of them pays for 2 bottles of ginger beer and gives it to a friend. And then they drink it, and both of them wind up sick because it had snails in it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they sued. Okay, and when they sued, according to the law at that time, this is the early last century.
So 1932, right? Was it?
Exactly, 1932. You know, they say the arguments were that, well, look, unless there was a contract between the person who drank the beer and the one who sold the beer, the one who didn't pay for it had no cause of action. In other words, if they had applied that rule, which is the rule that existed at that time, it meant that the lady who paid for the ginger beer could sue because she can say there was a breach of contract between her and the seller of the beer. The beer was sold which was not fit for the particular purpose, and that the other lady could not succeed because there was no contract. But Lord Atkin in that case said, no. Who is my neighbor? Whenever I'm doing things in life, there are certain things who I should contemplate, that I might injure. If I'm driving on the street, I might not have a contract with anybody on the street, but I must be aware that if I do certain things, certain people might get hurt. And for the first time in England, they said there was this product liability outside the scope of a contract. And here we are today, the law has changed. Talk about the United States product liability. I mean, you can manufacture something in China, bring it to the States, they can sue the country in China and then get damages. So they are departing and making it much more difficult for people to be accountable. Anything which you contemplate might hurt somebody, even if that somebody is not specific, you can still be liable to them. So,
well, I appreciate it. This is when you share with us, that may cause some of us who know a little more to be able to weigh in, so that we add to the body of knowledge. And like me and others who are not sure of anything can ask questions and be informed. So thank you very much for your time, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.
Talk soon. Have a wonderful weekend. And to our listeners, we're going to pause, take the final break, and when we come back, who's going to be the next caller? Who is going to be the next caller? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. Wow. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Why replace when you can respray? At Granite Express Cayman, we can completely transform your old kitchen cabinets with a fresh kitchen respray for just a fraction of the cost of buying new ones. Big news! Our summer special promo is here. We are offering kitchen countertop specials up to 50 square feet installed for only $1,595 CI for granite and $1,895 for quartz. We can make your dream kitchen come true and at a price to suit all budgets. Call 922-0424 for a free estimate, friendly service, fast installation. Hurry! Limited time only while supplies last. Visit GraniteExpressCayman.com.
In celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Department of Lands and Survey, land register rectification fees have been temporarily waived. Property owners now have the ability to amend land registers for free until July 30th. Updating your land register improves communication, provides legal protection, makes property transactions easier, and protects against fraud. Keeping your current legal name and addresses updated is required on your land register, and now you can do it for free until July 30th. For more information, contact Lands and Survey at registry.info@gov.ky or call 244-3420.
Still looking for a gift for Father's Day? Digicel has got you covered. For a limited time only, buy your dad a brand new Samsung A04 and get our Prime Ultra plan for free.
Give your dad the perfect combination of a cutting-edge device and unlimited connectivity.
Supplies are limited, so don't wait. Buy your dad a brand new Samsung A04 and get our Prime Ultra plan for free. Visit a Digicel store today.
For information that matter to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you.
For the record.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record.
Brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And for the remaining, 7 or so minutes, let's take this call. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Mr. Sterling. How are you?
Excellent. And it would not be the same if today you were not able to call. So good to hear from you.
Yeah, Mr. Anything today? I was kind of in and out the car. Did you understand anything?
The only thing is that we missed you. And I mean, your good friend James from the back, he called in and said, you know what? Where's my friend? I miss her comments and her contributions. So we had a good program. We had an opportunity to share, and some of the listeners, especially the last caller, remind us of the importance. So thank you for being able to take time out. I know what is a very busy schedule,
Yeah, thank God it's a weekend.
That is true. I mean, hopefully we make the most of it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I didn't really listen to the show that much today. I was in and out of my car, and I was not working. So don't think for a second. Today's the 9th of June.
Already?
And haven't heard one word in regards to why am I going to get my my ID from PTU. And when you sit down and think about when these MPs come out and say about jobs for Caymanians and this for Caymanians and that for Caymanians, what is it that is not taking so long for me to go and pick up my ID that is sitting there, catching dust, and is paid for? Why are they pulling right out of my mouth? Understand? And, the time that they sit down and hold a certain amount of people IDs, because it's not only me what they're holding, you need to come out here and start working at night to see exactly how the taxi business is being run and the dress code. That's what public transport and the chairmen and the higher authorities need to come up and do and make sure that these people are here giving good customer service and dress properly for their job. Not because you may go to a hotel and pick up somebody, you must get there with a marina on and just about a party hanging out in a pair of flip-flops, and your vehicle is dirty. All you can hear, what that's with my island. All you can hear, we don't have enough bodies here and enough bodies there. And there's so many people unemployed. And they want to grow population, but yet these places don't have enough bodies to come out here and check out things. So they can sit down on people's IDs and offer another check stuff and it's okay, but then again, they got some of these taxi drivers here. I'm not bringing them down, but I just got to speak the truth because I'm getting phone call every day. Why ain't you out here? I'll say, well, I'm not coming until I get my ID. I'm not gonna walk on no street because I pay for the ID. I know no street walker to go downtown when the cruise ships are in, and they're just hollering and screaming to try to get a visitor in my car when I know that I pay for my ID like everybody else did, and I was doing it professional, going through the right channels to get into the port. I'm not going up on the main street. I go to the hotels when the season comes back up. But look how long far away that is. I need to see my ID. I need to know when my future holds me between now and the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
ID, you know? And nobody, and none of the MPs or none of the government places that I went through trying to get this ID has an answer for me. All you can hear when you listen to the radio is in department, chairman this and chairman that. You want to tell me the chairman got more power than the premier, and the chairman got more power than an MP that represents every district in this island? I mean, it is something to think about. I don't know what the people is thinking when it comes to the so-called Kimanian that they got us in the back burner. Like Mr. Christian said this morning on OC show, you know, what about us? Where are we supposed to go?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, Sterling, I bought a little split unit a couple months ago, and I know it's not the right volts in it that I got. I got a 110 for 220. So I call a company and try to find out if they have any. For a split unit for 110 electricity, you know what it tell me it could cost? $1,100. And the one that I have in my house now, I bought that less than 3 years ago. That was $500.
Wow.
From $500 to $1,100 and change for one little split unit. And then you're like, they'll come to $1,000, $700, $800 a mortgage. We're all out here crying regardless of how little like bill may be. Mine is $260. I'm crying. And it's only one person. You know, so you know, we all here want to know what the government can do to help us here and there with electricity and water bill and groceries and the water company supposed to be a government entity, and they don't have to us every time they look at water turns and digging the roads up. Like they can't get them pipes right.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they got that road, the road got to be fixed halfway, bumpy, mashing up your front ends and blah 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 blah. Sterling, oh boy, it's the weekend. But I just had to get it off my chest and pray that everyone has a good weekend, and I'm going to try to have a good one. And hopefully,
yes.
tomorrow surprise me, tell me come pick up my ID because I talked about it so much. I'm not going to stop talking about it until I get it. Because somebody got to listen. Somebody got to hear my voice.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and if they want me to come to need assessment, I can do that too. Forget about the ID.
Well, you know, press on. Hopefully there's an amicable resolution to what you're trying to achieve, and you know, sometimes, well, let me refrain. But thank you, and I hope that you have not just a wonderful weekend, but a safe, enjoyable one as well. All right.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, it's for many at the end of the week. For others, it's just the beginning. For some, it's the promise of what tomorrow holds, and for others, it's just a reprieve from what today, they had to bear. But at the end of the day, as we were trying to share earlier, for some, it doesn't matter the amount of money that's being offered. They will not accept it if in exchange they have to give up, the promise of being able to wake tomorrow. So with that, where there's hope, maybe there's life, and there's an opportunity to press on and press in and do more. But not more from the financial, not the material, but more from the sense of contributing. Many of us give, but there's still more that could give and not take as much. And maybe, when we start to take, maybe we can take people from the brink of disaster and put them on a path. Take from them an example of sense of, conscience, a sense of love and respect, a sense of humility. Perhaps when we can take from them an example that to serve and to be a servant leader. Perhaps we can help them, to carry their burdens, so take some of the weight off their shoulders. Well, from my heart to yours, may you enjoy a wonderful and safe, truly peaceful weekend. If I might once again, to the excellent sort of demonstration of love and kindness that was bestowed upon us here at Radio Cayman earlier. It's what reminds us that we have such a great people who give so kindly, so tirelessly, so willingly, so graciously. That gesture certainly has touched our hearts, and because we can break bread and share, we can fellowship. Maybe we can consider this weekend to be a renewed approach to kindness through our loving gestures. We maybe find the renewed strength to press on, even in the midst of all of the anxiety, all the trials and tribulations and the challenges that lie ahead, and in the pursuit even for material wealth, for a sense of fame and fortune. We might just actually find it in ourselves to help others. Until Monday, we invite you to make the best and the best of it. Please join Mr. Art, come on the morning for the record, and then come back for a Talk Today. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.